Hey, Dan, Brad, what's up?
Hey Scott, how's it going? Hey Dan, how are you?
Brad, good to hear you. Barry, Scott, thank you very much for the setup. Brad's going to be driving today, guys. I'm taking a little bit of a more of a back seat because he's got something to show you. But Brad, let's pop in and do our um, disclaimer.
Yeah, let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. This is our Wednesday Q&A webinar session. You know, it's interesting as I was logging in here today, I noticed that it's probably been about 3 weeks or so since we've had one of these Wednesday QAs. So it's good to be here. It's good to show you what we've been working on. I'm just getting back from vacation, so it's good to settle in and start working with our software again and show you all the great stuff we've been up to. Start off with our disclaimer. Trade Ideas is an incredible software technology provider, but what we are not is a registered investment advisor. So do not seek out our technology as a substitute for a resident investment advisor. They know what kind of capital you're working with and have the ability to advise you specifically based on your account size and your risk tolerance. But we're going to show you some great technology today. I'm not going to spend long here on the PowerPoint. I'm just going to throw it aside and get right into the software. Let me clear off some of these icons off my desktop here. All right, so guys, I'm just showing you our latest version. This is still, really hasn't even hit the development team. This is like a super early version of our software. But what I'm going to do, because all of our QA webinars, it seems as though there's really a good mix of people that are subscribers and a good mix of people that are kind of taking a look at our technology and most likely for the first. Welcome, Trade Ideas. We're here to help you find interesting ideas in the market. The software is always scanning, peeling through every tick of every stock and doing that to find the opportunities that exist in real time. We connect all the major market data sources. We consolidate that data in our data center, but we do some very unique stuff with that data. We do it in real time. As we're ingesting this market data, we're creating new bits of data that help us identify things that are super interesting in the market. I'll go through some of these channels right off the bat just to kind of show you what we offer you through this technology, but please know this, everything is customizable. We offer this channel bar to allow you guys to hit the ground running, if you will. You can see how we've created and developed a lot of these different windows, these visualization windows. They all work a little bit differently to bring this data right to your desktop and right to your top of mind. It's meant to work with a trading platform. We work really closely with Interactive Brokers with our software, but it's really meant to work with any broker out there. We link in a variety of different ways so that when you see a symbol in the software, you can click on it, look at it inside of the Trade Ideas platform, but it'll also update your other tools as well so that you're really just a click away from analyzing to making a decision. So if I look over here on my channel bar, I can see I have a few custom channels, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but it's nothing revolutionary here, but what this channel is going to do is it's going to allow you to start the day and see exactly what's moving. And it gives me an opportunity to show you a couple of different windows in how this data is visualized. For instance, we've got these windows with the T right here in the upper left-hand corner. These are our top list windows. To do a couple of different things that are unique, color coding it, doing some multivariate sorting. So we sort the data on the server, bring it into the window, and then allow you to sort it in any number of ways based on the column data that's here. So you can see what's gapping up, what's gapping down, sort it based on the dollar value, sort it based on the percentage value. We also have some other windows here, charting, right? So you have the visualization of what's happening both on a longer term chart, shorter term chart, but like I said earlier, really everything is customizable from your time frames that you're looking at. You can do annotations on the chart as well as be able to zoom in and zoom out. So you get a really nice visualization there. The window with the M, this is really an event-based window. This is kind of an alert window on steroids, if you will. It's got a variety of different strategies in here, and when one of those events occurs, it's going to go ahead and populate that data here. So if I do a quick right click, you can see that in this window here, there are 4 different strategies, and it's going to be a streaming type of window pre-market. So you have a list of stocks that are gapping up, gapping down, but also a streaming view of stocks that happen to be moving. Our single stock window, this gives you a deep dive into any particular security based on the data points that we have. So like I said, we have that basic generic market data, but then we have that new market data that we create, position in year range, change since January 1st, position in the day range, just a lot of other data points that exist. As I go through some of the channels, I'll highlight some of those data points as well. I'm going to spend like 30 minutes kind of going through the software, showing you some functionality, showing you what we've been working on recently, but then we'll kind of go back to the questions, and if you have some questions that haven't been answered either through Scott, Barry, or Dan, then we'll address those on the screen. But I'm just going to kind of run through the software and all the different things that it can do for you. And I'm going to save the AI, the artificial intelligence, for a little bit later. So I'm going to scroll down the channel bar here, kind of take a look at some of the themes that we have. This Alpha Predator is a great channel because it's always looking for stocks that are moving regardless of what's happening in the market. The market could be completely tanking, and this channel right here is going to start to mine for stocks that happen to be breaking out or trading on some significant volume. Right now, I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of sitting back, and I've got the software set up to IdeaServe. So what it's doing is it's cycling through these different windows that I have and giving me the visualization of those stocks. So I can let it do it by itself, or I can come in and I can intervene, click on a symbol. If I'm hovering over the chart here, the IdeaSurfing is automatically paused, or I could manually pause it. So software, it's really meant to deliver ideas right to you. But like I said earlier, this stuff can really fully be customized. And in this Alpha Predator channel, if I found something that I liked, for instance, I could pull out this top list, right click, and I can pin it. This is a window I may like. I may want to do another deeper dive into it and see exactly how it's configured. And I can do that with anything. I can go into the configuration and see how it is. I could also modify it. Maybe I'm only trading stocks between $10 and $30, or that's what I want to look for. I can quickly make that modification, or really any of the other filters that are set up in it. But once I've pinned that here, I can then continue my browsing through the different channels. If I go to the social media channel, for instance, I can pull up the stocks that are being talked about more than normal on social media. We connect with StockTwits, so we're connected to their data source, and it's a community. It's a community of people talking about stocks. And what we do, it's like I said earlier, we're taking this normal market data and we're doing something kind of unique to it. And that's what we've done with the social data here. I've got this column, StockTwits relative activity. Well, it's a custom data point to trade ideas. We're taking in this social data. We're keeping statistical benchmarks on it. Therefore, we know what's normal behavior. How much is stock XYZ being talked about on average on a daily basis? And so when something starts to light up, whether it's stock volume or price action, or in this case, we're talking about social volume, when that starts to really pick up, we're able to kind of put that into a value, if you will, and numerically assign that. And so I can see here that this stock AMSWA is being talked about 1,700 times normal. So these numbers are really significant. These are stocks that happen to be just waking up in the community, and they're being talked about for a variety of reasons. It may be earnings, it may be some type of news event, it may be just simply because the stock happens to be moving. Here, go to properties and go to select colors. Well, you can see exactly how we did it. What's the coloring? We're doing a change from the close. We're using these different breakpoints. We're using this particular color scheme. But like I said, everything is customizable, and you can change that to your heart's content. So I can take, let's say I want this bullish sentiment. I can grab that. I could pin it and effectively go through this and find the different windows that are interesting to me, that maybe kind of gel with the type of stocks that I trade and the type of movement that I'm looking for. Surge channel, just another momentum-based channel here that has a variety of different windows. It's got another unique one, and I'll just kind of highlight it right here. That's this most upward momentum right now. It's an alert window. It's giving me event, but like all of the alert windows typically do, they do it in a chronological order. So the most recent event's always going to appear on the top. Well, this is a little bit different. Market's kind of dead right now, but during the market, what this is doing is it's ranking these stocks based on the number of times it's made that high. So, you know, I could clear it up and the cream is going to quickly rise to the top, and you're going to see the stocks that have the most momentum and that are breaking out with the most vigor at this time. And so that's a pretty unique approach to the window. And so we try to do that through a lot of these channels and show you the different ways to use the window. Let me just do one more here and then I'll move on to something else. I want to find the active trading channel. You think I know exactly where it is. Towards the bottom here, the active trading channel. Let me select that. And I like to highlight this one because this probably has the most diverse example of all the different windows that we have, from an alert, top list, multi-strategy. But specifically what I want to talk about are these two top lists right here. Because, you know, you can create the normal type of window. I want to look for stocks that have the biggest gainers today, and that's my ranked list of stocks. Pretty standard, it's certainly valuable, but there are a lot of other things that you can do with the window. And this biggest bounce on losers is an interesting one, because now this is where it kind of highlights the difference between server-side sorting and client-side sorting. So the server is bringing me a list of the biggest losers here today. So I've got stocks that are really being beaten up today, not doing so good. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sort it on one of our proprietary data points, which is change 30 minutes %. So how much has the stock moved over the last 30 minutes? Now, on these stocks that are extremely beaten up, I'm looking for stocks that happen to be bouncing in that universe. And the inverse is done right here with the biggest pullbacks on winners. So I'm looking at stocks here that are really up for the day pretty significantly. Wow, so I mean some really big ones. And this is now sorting it based upon that downward move over the last 30 minutes. And we've got all these different variables to use, or filters, if you will. Could be how much has that stock moved over 5 minutes, over 15 minutes. You know, all these data points are available to you. And then we have a lot of range indicators, and I don't see any of them in this. Well, I see a range indicator from the bullish social sentiment, and this is a custom indicator. These all have numerical values associated, but it gives you that visual indication as to where that stock is trading right now in relationship to its intraday high or low. 20-day range, same thing, but based upon that 20-day range. So that's kind of just a little touch on our channels, but it's really worth going through all of those and really understanding what it is that we're showing, because we're really trying to highlight the different ways to configure the software.
Brad,
I'll take a break.
Brad?
Yeah, what's that?
No, I was just going to say that one of the things maybe to remind everyone is that there's the routine where you can start in the morning, you know, in the pre-market, and then kind of move yourself through Alpha Predator, Surge, maybe some of the other channels, and then end up in the post-market. And of course, there's the specifics, but the idea is that we kind of made this channel bar like cable, where depending on what you like to see, there's really no limit, including making your own, as Brad has up there.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, it's really, it's a to each his own. Everybody trades, everybody's got their own kind of routine. And what we've done is we've created a tool set for you to incorporate this into your routine, however that is. But it really does kind of open your eyes to what's happening. For things that we're doing with our AI. Our back testing, it's kind of unique. It's different than most back testing experiences in the marketplace. Most back testing experiences allow you to take a stock and really see how you can best exploit that stock over a period of time. Like take Apple and look at it for 10 years back and see how to best trade Apple. And that's certainly a viable way to do it. But we've taken a different approach to it because we developed the alert window, the event-based window, about 17 years ago. 17 years ago, is that right? Gosh, a long time ago. So we did that, and with that event-based window, we created a method of being able to backtest the entire event, not just a stock, but an event. So you create a strategy and see if I was to incorporate the same set of instructions every time a signal occurred, how would I do? And certainly there are a lot of, maybe infinite number of ways that you could kind of slice and dice that up. But with that concept, we developed the backtesting engine. And let me just take a new alert window. Not even really going to do anything with it. This is just a breaking out on volume window. So anytime there's a new high on significant volume, there are probably a few more filters, this is going to provide an event. So we're going to hypothesize right now. Let's say that every time one of these events occur, we're going to buy it. And let's just kind of go through the instructions right here and see what we're going to do. So the market on the West Coast opens at 6:30 in the morning. Let's just stick with 7 o'clock. So I'm not going to trade for the first half hour. I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm not going to trade for the last, say, hour and a half. So that means I'm not going to initiate a new position over the last hour and a half. So, you know, I have this window here. It did generate a signal at 1:02 p.m. That's 2 minutes after the close. Well, it wouldn't do it because it's after the close, but it also wouldn't do it because it's after my time threshold here. So we also have filters that you can put in the window and put your time filters so they never appear, but that's neither here nor there. So let's just go ahead and say we're going to trade from 7 to 11:30. And now we have to tell how long do we want to hold this position. In this case, let's say I want to hold it an hour. I could hold it to the end of the day, to the beginning of the next day, or any number of choices there. Risk management here. Am I going to put a profit target? Now, I'm not going to put a profit target, but I will put a protective stop. Let's say if I lose 50 cents on any given trade, get me out of it. And the advanced here, I could do some advanced exits, but in this case, we're just going to say how long do I want to test this, how many days back, and these are trading days, so 30 trading days is like a month and a half. Let's just, for the purpose of the demo, let's keep it a little short like that, and then let's simulate the buy. And it's going to go through every combination. Every time a signal occurred in that window, it's going to take a look after 60 minutes, where is that stock? If we get out of it, if we got stopped out, it'll stop you out. And it's not a terrible strategy here, but it's not one that's going to be making you money. I think the commission's probably killing you. This is just too many trades. But that's the idea here. We want to be able to see is this something that's viable. Well, let me bring in a window from, let me bring in a strategy rather from our AI today. And I'll bring in, let me bring in Sunrise Mover. So I'm just going to open up, I'm doing this over on my other monitor. I'm just going to bring in this window here. So this is Sunrise Mover. This is really the same. If you were to have Sunrise Mover on the AI, this is the alert window that would be generating those signals right there. And so let's go ahead and backtest this particular strategy. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is because each and every day our software is going through about 50 different strategies, and it's running this odds maker. I mean, it's not literally running the odds maker, but it's doing the same type of mathematical calculations, and it's doing this in an effort to optimize these 50 different strategies, and it's doing this 3 different times. So we have 3 different segments looking at all these strategies and trying to optimize it, trying to see which filters should be changed, if any at all, based on the new market data that's come through. And so this is what an optimized strategy looked like. So Sunrise Movers was an opportunity today. I don't think it generated any signals, but this is what it would look like. And so Sunrise Movers, just like any other strategy, this is saying don't trade the first 5 minutes, but after 45 minutes of the market a more successful strategy is going to look like, something that has some metrics that are more tradable, the number of trades that have taken place over the backtest period, the average winner to average loser, what's the return. And so like doing that every day, we're then going to present our users, and let me kind of do that. Let me go into, this happened to be from Holly Neo today, so let me bring up the Holly Neo channel. And this is going to be the window that gives you the strategies that kind of made it through what we call a combine at the end of every day after all the optimization is done. It looks at these different metrics and says, okay, I only want the best of the best. I want the guys that have the best profit factor, the best win to loss ratio, the best average winner to loser data. So after that competition takes place, if you will, these are the strategies that were presented to our users today. And even though we were presenting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different strategies, 3 of them didn't even send a signal today. And that's just the way that it works. We have no idea how these are going to play out because the strategy is created, and then based upon that, whatever events occur, whenever the filters match up and the event takes place, well, that's the symbol that's going to be generated. And right here, if I expand this window down here, these are all of the trades today from this Holly Neo segment, and a variety of different strategies. Like quarterback had 4 different trades, selling strength had 2, and you can see exactly how they played out over a variety of different time periods. And that's one of the key things with our AI. We're giving you 3 different ways to look at the profitability of these positions. The first way, this could get a little confusing, but that's okay, just kind of take it in. The first way is risk off. Risk off is every one of these strategies has a time period associated with it. Remember when we were doing the back test, I said, okay, we're going to hold this for 45 minutes. We're going to hold this for an hour. Well, we have to do that in order to associate a time frame and profitability with it. So that's our risk off. After 60 minutes, if you haven't been stopped out or another one of our algorithms haven't triggered, like the profit save or reduce, you're going to get a timed exit. So essentially, these are the guys with the timed exit are the positions that were held up until the end of that time horizon. But that doesn't mean that you really need to get out of it. Like, for instance, when we're looking here at the overall profitability of this segment, we're looking at 3 different profits. And I'm kind of giving you a little graph here that you can see full risk has more profit. So at $82.50 based upon 100 shares per trade. And that's, you can change that as well. I'll show you how to do that. But that's as opposed to $49.84 for risk on, and a little less if I go risk off at $42.03. So giving you these 3 different profit segments. So let me explain real quick what risk with the exception of perhaps you may get stopped out. So if you get stopped out of the trade, then you're stopped out, you're done, and that's kind of where it hits. Like, for instance, if we go to ZYNE here on risk on, it was a stop and we lost $32.50. So the difference here between risk on and full risk is we're doing the same thing. We're going to hold it to the end of the day, but I'm not going to care about the stops. That means if the stop hits my stop and then this is all good information to have, but for your own trading as well. So that's kind of how we tie in the back testing and the odds maker and all of that type of optimization into creating the strategies inside of our AI. We have this Omni AI channel. The Omni AI really takes these 3 different segments and it puts it all into one kind of visual universe, if you will. So now I'm looking at the trades from each of the 3 segments. And this is the way we've had it for probably about 6 months now. I think at the beginning of the year, I could be wrong, I think at the beginning of the year we added some additional segments to our AI, and this is how you would access those. I look at it a little bit differently. I go to this custom AI one, and I've created my own version of that, one that fits my monitors, gives me the data points that I want to look for. I'm more interested not only in helping create this technology, but so you can do it in any way you want. Let me show you the kind of the newest thing that we've added to it. It should be coming to the software pretty soon, but it allows you to take this AI data and more closely emulate what it would look like inside of Brokerage Plus, which is our automation tool. So I've created a custom window here for AI hunting. So let me select that. And this allows us to essentially roll up all of the segments into a single segment. So now, essentially, I've got all my strategies from all three segments, and then I have all of my trades from all three segments. And I've got this new column in here that tells me what segment it's from, and like all of our windows, might not be sortable yet. Yeah, it is. Okay. So, you know, everything in here is sortable, and you can kind of drill down the data the way that you want to look at it. This is a pretty great column when you're looking at all of this data, this profit change over the last 5 minutes. So you can see exactly what's moving. And I have another column that's, I think, looks at 15 minutes, which is another really good way to look at the data.
Hey, Brad?
Yeah.
So I noticed that you're using 100 shares. Will you show everyone how you can change that to some other criteria, like how much you're willing to lose?
You bet. You bet. I know I'm going to get an exception doing it here on this view, so let me move to a, that's okay. Let me move to a different view, and I think it should work. I may get the bug or the error because I just tried it before the webinar, but that's okay. Let me show you how you do it, because it's super important to know. Up in our tools menu up here, I've got this options, and I'm already there here, but if you look over here on this AI trade size, this gives you the ability to configure the way the shares are allocated to each position. The first way is dollars per trade. So this is like taking a percentage approach to it. So I want to put $5,000. If I'm buying a $5,000 stock, I'm going to buy 1 share of it. And so this will essentially give you the number of shares based upon the stock price for the value that you have here. So trading on a strictly percentage basis, that's how you would want to do it. If you want to do it by, I'm doing it right now by shares per trade. So every single transaction, regardless of price, my $2 stock, I'm getting in 100 shares. My $100 stock, I'm getting in 100 shares. Just another way to do it. But I think probably the most innovative one, and really the one that I use most often, even though today I was doing it differently, is the risk based on a stop loss. And essentially what this does is every one of these AI strategies has a stop loss assigned to it or associated with it. Some are a little bigger than others, some are smaller than others. But regardless of what that stop is, by putting a particular value in here, let's say I put in $50. Now what I'm saying is if I'm going to get stopped out on any position here, the maximum I'm willing to lose, minus slippage in either direction, would be $50. So it'll look to where that stop is before putting your order out, and based upon the distance of that, we'll put that share quantity exactly to the quantity that it would be should you get stopped out. That's the dollar value you would lose. So it's a pretty nice way to approach it, I think. But if I do it, and I'll change it, and you'll see these numbers will change a little bit, probably not dramatically, but a little bit.
And Brad, it has been, continues to be a risk-off market.
It continues to be a risk-off market. So let me ask or answer Damien's question, because it's a great one. Can you backtest a stock symbol? And I'm assuming you mean a single stock symbol, like you want to backtest Apple. You can, but I don't think it's really the best tool set to do it. And the reason why is you can certainly set your symbol list up to just Apple and do that, for instance. But the way the odds maker simulates it is it's only going to allow you to transact Apple once per day. So it's not going to give you this in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out multiple times during the day. So if you're just looking for a single idea, you know, on a day, then it's something that could work. Okay. Any other questions related to that? Let me bring in a little bit of Brokerage Plus. Because with Brokerage Plus, you can do a variety of different things. So it's not something, it's again, it's like all of our other, you know, components of our software. It's not really a one size fits all. Set up your right-click menu. So no matter what window you're in trade ideas, top list, alert, multi-strategy, you can write on a chart, you can right click and you're presented with a variety of different options on here. And you're also presented with a couple extra if they happen to be AI signals. I think I've got one more window here. Let me just pop in something like this. So you can see the difference between a non-AI. So here, these are the 4 different options that I've set up inside of my strategies tab. So I can go to market really quickly with 100 shares here. I can do 100 shares at the last price, or I can, go in reverse. And that's how I have it set up right here on my Brokerage Plus window. Another thing I could do. What's that?
You said that all of those are customizable by you.
Yeah, all customizable. Out of the box, they're here, but if you just right click on anything, you can go to edit your trading strategy, and you can say, I want to trade 200 shares, or I want to trade $50 based on the stop loss, and I don't want to do a market order, but I want to do a limit order, and I want to do a limit delta of plus 5 cents, which means I'm going to be buying this 5 cents below the last price. And I can say how long do I want to keep that order out there, and I could bump that up to say 500 seconds or something. So this is how you would customize it, and then once you do that, when you right click, that is right there for you. And you can set up any number of these. Maybe you want to have your 100 shares, maybe you want to do your $5,000, and maybe you want to do your $50 based on a stop, and have each of those available to you. And that's just setting it up one time in here. Once you do that, you save it as default. Then you can close this window and open it up anytime from the toolbar, and it'll be set up the way that you set it up. So that's one way. Another thing you can do is, let's see here. Let me bring in a strategy here. Been a while. So optimize mean reversion. And it doesn't really matter what I'm going to do here, but I'm just going to essentially grab this link. So let's share it. And I'm going to copy it. So I essentially just copied the cloud link. I could send it to Dan via instant messenger and he could open it up, or I'm going to take that link and I'm going to do something with it here. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my strategies tab. I'm going to go load from cloud, and I could do it from scratch, but I'm going to go load from cloud. It should have it right down here. If you have something in your clipboard that looks like a cloud link, it'll automatically be populated here. And then you can load it. So I'm just going to add it to the existing. And there's my optimized mean reversion. It should come already set up with the type of parameters that I want, because I had set it up that way with my stop loss and everything. So that's good to go. Now, the interesting thing here now, all I need to do, once it's set up and configured the way that I want, I can just right click on it and I can enable it. So now it's on. So now anytime that here, let me load it up so you can see effectively what it is. Here it is over here. So this window right here, anytime that there's an event, it's going to automatically perform those set of instructions for me. It's going to put that bid out there 5 cents below the last. I may or may not get filled on it, but that's what you basically have the control as to how aggressive you want to be in entering in these positions, whether it's the this right here like I'm showing you, or our Holly automation. And that's kind of the latest thing that we added to Brokerage Plus. There is a special subscription required to get this, but once you have it and you have access to the Holly AI tab, you can turn any of these strategies on. So just like I put in that optimized mean reversion, these are all of the completed strategies from the combine the night before, and they're all set up. And what you would do as a trader, you have to make some decisions here as well. So if I edit the long instructions, you have to tell it, how do you want to trade this? Do you want to trade it in risk off mode where you're getting out at the end of the time expiration, or do you want to trade it in risk on mode, or do you want to trade it the best of? And that's based upon what's happening on the AI, right? So if the AI is telling you that risk off is the mode for that segment, then that's how it's going to treat it. Then you tell it, do you want to do a limit or market? How aggressive do you want to be with that limit or want to participate in the reentries? All you need to do is engage those, and then make sure that you've got your re-enter long and your re-enter short instructions set up. Could do it the same as your regular long, or you could change it. Maybe you don't want to be as aggressive. Maybe your sizing's a little bit less. Maybe it's more. These are the decisions that you would make. And so that's our Brokerage Plus. We've recently added an additional route. I think that would be available here. Yeah, and so this will be a drop down, not a drop down yet. If you know the route, you can pop it in there. But so that we're always enhancing this, and we're going to be doing some additional enhancements with the exits of these strategies, giving you the ability to have multiple exit scenarios in place. So yeah, working on this. We're working on paper trading. Let me also show you something that's coming to the software pretty soon, and then I'll kind of move over to the questions and see if there are any that haven't been answered. But if I go to, and this isn't quite available yet, but if I go to Enhance Single Stock, we're replacing our old single stock window with a new, better formatted single stock, and at the same time, we're going to be bringing some additional data points into it. Insider data is the first component of data that we'll be adding. We'll be adding stock ratings, rating information, upgrades, downgrades, and the like. And we also have tons of other ideas that will be going into it. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this is something that we're continuing to work on as well. So always doing something with the software, but always making it better. So let's see here. Any questions that I've missed, Dan, or anything going on?
I mean, I think you've covered so much. I really like the new single stock window that you're kind of showing here. Lots of new things happening. That's one of the things that everyone needs to know, is that we're constantly working behind the scenes to continue to innovate the product. So the combining of the AIs into one, creating more of a Brokerage Plus type of environment there, and working on, again, paper trading and swing trading as the new big themes that we're adding to the functionality of the software.
So let me address Damien's question with respect to auto trading Holly, specifically. How do I pick and choose what strategies I want to trade for the day? And truly, it's a very personal thing. But let me give you a couple kind of points, if you will. Let me find my window. All right, so most of the time, this is what I do. I just really enable them all, but I do, based upon what's happening on my compare count window, will size my longs and my shorts differently. So let me just show you something you may or may not be aware of, and it's a window that I haven't really talked about at all today, but it's our compare count window. It doesn't have to be set up and configured in a very unique way. Simply looking at stocks making new highs and new lows, even bringing in intraday components to it, 15-minute highs, 15-minute lows, is going to give you an indication as to what's really happening in the marketplace. Sure, there are always stocks going up, always stocks going down. You're also going to have an indication with respect to the leading indicators up on the toolbar. But this little bar chart right here, this little bar that's telling me that 75% of the data running through this is bullish, 24% is bearish. I use this window all the time. Looking at it from inception of the market, a lot of times midday I'll duplicate it. I'll keep it right next to that one, so I have my window that's giving me everything from the beginning of the day. Now I have something a little bit fresher. If ever I want to just clear it and start over, I do that. And so I usually have multiple windows like this running, and based upon the flavor of this, if it's clearly telling me it's bullish, then I'm going to be maybe even turning off my shorts. Just depending on what these ratios are. It's not, when I get into something a little closer to, 47.53, I don't really consider that a turning off my shorts. But, little things like that. Start off small. Don't go too big, too fast. Get to understand what's happening with these strategies. Certain strategies, after having looked at this data for a couple years, I'm really enamored with, like the sunrise movers, the quarterback, the tailwind. Breakout if it's the right kind of day. Downward dogs and a great strategy, but not in a gap up and running type of market.
And it's
Yeah,
always
so
in use.
single stock can be fully edited, right? So I can go in here to configure, and for the 1 minute volume, I think, well, let's see here. We do it in a couple of different ways. I think you have to have a custom filter running for that one. Yeah, you do. And I do have it, probably just not in this account right here, but so that'll lead me to kind of showing you what you would do with a custom filter. So real quick, I'm not going to kind of go through the whole thing, but I'll give you the quick high level here. So let's go to help. Let's go to account management, custom formulas. And the reason why it's under account management, this is unique to each account. So if I go in here, and that's the reason, because I'm in a different account here. So if I go into the main one and log in, so I've got all these different custom filters in here. Now if I go to find volume, I mean, I've got a lot of different volume, increasing volume. Well, let me show you, regardless of what I have, let me show you how you do it. So let me go down here to the very bottom of this grid. I do have a space available, this help file right here. So I'm going to open it in a new tab. Open it in a new tab. I'm going to scroll down. It's only like 5 or 6 pages, so it's not terribly overwhelming for someone that's never looked at this type of stuff. But this right here, volume up 1, that code right there is going to give me the 1 minute volume. So if I just copy it, come back over here, let's create a new one. And if I just type in that code, I can type 1 minute volume. My unit is shares. Don't need any decimal points, and hit save. Okay, so now I'm in the iReKitty account. Let me make sure that's what I'm logged into here. I am. So let's go into, let's add it. Let's add it to this guy right here. Configure. Type in 1 minute volume. There's my U46. I just created that. I'm going to show the column, hit OK, and right there. So no volume in this guy, but I could probably, well, it doesn't really matter. I could go to an after hours account and try to find something that's moving, but so that's that. Hope that helped you. Holly Strategies, thank you for putting that in there, Barry. I don't know where it's located, but there it is. Yeah, I'd be more than happy. I mean, honestly, with the compare count, I just pulled it up from my, I'll drop it in. So save or share to cloud. I like Jamie's. Jamie's got a handle on this. Jamie definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to the compare count, without a doubt.
Jamie is our compare count master. Brad, let me ask you a quick question. Do we have any timing for how soon we might see some of the ratings on the single stock window come into place?
That's a little frustrating, but I'm thinking like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like it to be sooner, but it's a whole nother data source and a whole nother database that's being created for it. But yeah, and there's some great analysis that's going to be coming with that too. So, and then eventually some filters and alerts and things like that.
Transition to the charts.
Yep. And to the charts. We actually have plans to add a lot of different things to the charts, earnings, and some of the other data points that we have as we incorporate it all into a single type of interface.
Correct.
All right, guys. Hey, are there any other questions? I'm kind of tapped. I don't know what else I should be talking about.
Everything. You know, one of the things I want to just highlight again is that the big themes, some swing trading, combining the AIs, which we showed you today in this build, and there's nobody that can tell you what setting to use when you're trading automated, and a lot of people are trading, you know, through Brokerage Plus. But when you're automating Holly right now with the volatility, we've been in a risk-off environment. So that's my suggestion when you start. If you're starting, go risk-off and keep your size small so that you can kind of get a feel for what's going on. And then as you're succeeding, transition.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Yeah, we're pretty close to releasing just one Holly. There are a couple bugs. I think we have a bug when it comes to history, which is another great piece of functionality that's going to go hand in hand yeah, it's going to really come together very nicely, especially as the history gets incorporated into it.
Yeah, Brad, I mean, I think you've covered everything. Let's just go ahead and finish up.
Oh, there's a PowerPoint. Ah, well, where is that thing? Boom. Hey, do we have a new promo code in there, Scott? Just in the nick of time? All right, let me put this back in presentation mode. Dan, how about I throw it to you, pal?
Thank you. I'll watch. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a price point for how much our software costs on the daily basis. Obviously, if you're paying monthly, it's a little bit more than yearly. But this is what it costs per day, and we think it's a very reasonable price to be asking for the kind of software that we provide, where we're one of the only AI engines that really takes the market by the throat, so to speak. Brad crunches all the numbers and is really like a card counter in blackjack, but for the stock market, and we do it all out there. When we lose on the AI, you see it, we don't hide anything, but we're the only ones that throw our signals out and do it. So this is the price. It's really inexpensive, but it requires a commitment for you to want to be in the market. And of course, if you want to join us, we have a promo code today. It gives you 15% off of the first month for the year of Trade Ideas, and it's Summer of AI.
Caps, if I'm not mistaken.
All caps. We have a webinar that Barry runs. It's called our Trading Room, and Barry Anderson runs it every single day during the market open. He's going to be on vacation for a little while soon, but every other time he's there doing his thing. And it's a great way to learn what we do, how people interact with the software without the commitment. It's a good window shopping environment. And of course, at the same time, you really get to see the meritocracy, how people have been doing trade ideas for a long time, how they interact with the software. And of course, you've got the Trade Ideas podcast, myself, my good friend Jamie Hodge. We rock and roll it every Friday. And if you look up Trade Ideas, I think it's Trade-Ideas on your podcast search, you will find us. We would love for you to check us out, kind of bring you a more less formal, rather, approach to what we're doing, but have a little fun while we're doing it. And of course, you've got to know the post by the effing dip market, which it's not been easy, Brad, because you know, just when you think it's about to, you know, crash.
Very volatile. It's very volatile.
I mean, if you look at where we went from 6.4 to where we are now at 6.18, it's almost unfathomable. I mean, that's how nuts it is. And it looks like, Brad, it could be getting ready to break out again. So just saying, that's why it's a risk-off market. We have lots of social media coverage at Trade Ideas, at Today Trader, like us on Facebook. And if you need to, please shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. And we would love to hear from you, answer your questions, and look forward to you guys subscribing to our software. Our good friend Brad, is that it? Hello, hello.
Sorry, I was back on mute. So Scott, I think we're done here today. I've got all the questions answered. We've hit all the slides and our topics. So let's wind it up, buddy.
Sounds good. Just a reminder, there'll be a recording available later on tonight or tomorrow. So stay tuned for an email follow-up from GoToWebinar with a link to the playlist where you can find it and the other recordings. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Brad. Have a good one.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.